Um, you are an amazing church attender. You hardly ever miss a weekend. And when you can't come on Sunday because you go riding, you usually come on Saturday night. But you haven't been in church in a few weeks. Just
No.
a few. Why not?
I had a horseback riding accident on January 6th. For those of you who know me, I am an avid trail rider, and at the end of a 5-hour ride, a half an hour from the barn, my horse was spooked and I fell and I fractured my pelvis in 4 places and I broke my 10th rib.
Came and visited you a few times while you were in recovery, but I wasn't the only visitor you had.
No.
You said that you were quite blessed. Say a little bit about that.
Well, actually, in between the time I was in the hospital and in the recovery rehabilitation unit, I actually only had 2 days where I did not have visitors, and many of my visitors were church family and friends. So I'll say they're not really family. I consider them my church family because they're my friends, and so that was a wonderful thing to know that so many people cared about me. Quite amazing, and I felt very, very blessed to know that so many people cared about me.
This was a pretty serious accident. And this has been a long recovery. And yet, most days and most of the time, you've been pretty upbeat and positive, at least the times I've been around you. How have you managed to stay so upbeat and positive in this time?
Well, you know, I would like to say this is the only time I've had dark times in my life. However, I'm middle-aged, and so there have been other times in my life that I've had dark times, and it's been interesting because I've always felt like I didn't have to look very far, and I would see people who had things way worse than I did. And that, I think, has been kind of a reminder. And even with this accident, when I fell, I hit my head and I was unconscious for about 4 minutes. And I look at the fact that I could have had some very severe and permanent injuries, brain injuries, that I was very, very fortunate not to have to deal with. And while I have bones that need to heal, I will recover and life will go on. And there are a lot of people who have it way worse than I do. And, you know, I've had faith my entire life. I mean, so I rely on that, and I'm not really sure how people who don't rely on their faith get through life. Life is tough, and just because you have faith and you're a Christian doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen to you. And if you don't have that faith and something to turn to, what do you have?
How do you avoid focusing on your own sadness and continue to kind of be that light to the people around you, even in a situation like this?
While I was there, I was in the physical therapy room and doing this arm thing, which was really boring. And there was a lady, and when I had come into the room, she looked so unhappy and angry and and she ended up, they put her at the table where I was, and they gave her a puzzle to work on, like a kid's puzzle, the jigsaw puzzle. And I struggled with whether should I say something or not sure what kind of reaction I would get out of her. And then finally I just, I don't even remember what I initially said, but then I said, hey, do you want to trade? That looks way more interesting than what I'm doing. And her face kind of lit up. Prayer is a big thing for me, and throughout the day, but every single night, I say a prayer before I go to sleep. And part of that prayer is to live my life the way that God wants me to live it, and to be a better person, and to do the things to build people up and not to tear them down, because I think that's really easy in our society to focus on all the negatives and the me, and you get way more out of it when you give back and don't be so focused on yourself and be more focused on the people around you.